Alright, what's going on everyone? So in today's video we're actually going to be focusing around skeleton forts. And more specifically, I'm talking about how to manage the waves and just sort of speed up the whole process a little bit quicker. Also, throughout the video, I'm going to have some really good tips on how to actually keep the loot, assuming there's other people fighting, and how you can get out of the island with the key on your ship. And also, throughout this video, I'm going to have a couple tips of where to hide the key on your boat, just in case there's other ships around and there's a fight that's been going on. And also, I'm going to talk about this more a little bit later in the video, but I do have a Discord chat now. That's in the description, so feel free to go there. Full of awesome people. I'll talk about that later. Now, I assume you already know this, but when you go to a fort, you do have skeletons that actually fire at you, so my best tip for that is to don't kill them, but just get out of sight. That way, if there's another ship coming to attack the fort, these skeletons can actually attack them and give you a bit of leverage in the fight. Now anyway, on to the tips. First, I'm going to start with solo and duos. When you're playing solo, there's not much you can do in the way of actually looking out for other ships, aside from doing regular scouting trips when you're on the fort, but definitely keep those skeletons alive, because they'll be your saving grace. Once you hear the skeletons start firing, then you know someone's coming. But with duos, you can actually do things a little bit different. So what you want to do is you're going to want to have one person attacking the fort, preferably stand actually in the doors to the main fort entrance. That is the best way you can get to kill skeletons. That way they'll all sort of pile in front of you and you can attack them. And have the other person run on the ship, have a look at what's going on, go up to the crow's nest, and then come back to the island, and just have them do that every 2 or 3 minutes. And when you're doing that, just be sure to be careful of sloops and galleons that hide, because I've had a couple times when I've done the forts, at the end of it there's been random galleons that have come out from nowhere and sloops that have come out from nowhere to try and attack me. So just do keep a lookout for them. Alright, so anyway, let's move on to the galleons, the 3- and 4-man crews. Now, when you're on a galleon, it's really easy as compared to a sloop. The only thing you really got to look out for is actually when you're arriving. It can be quite hard because the galleon isn't quite as fast as the sloop can be, and it's a bigger target. So just make sure when you actually go onto the island as a galleon, you've got 3 people at least working on either repairing or bailing out water, then the final person on the sails and hitting the anchor. Now, moving on to the waves is usually around 10 to 15. I mean, 12 has been the most common for when I've played, but what you're going to want to do is have as many people with you as possible. As I said before, the doors and the forts are actually the best place to be, so try and just keep around those doors and just attack them as they come close to you. Also, if you can, try and get your ship positioned in a safe spot so you can actually attack them with cannons, but that isn't overly necessary. Another thing you can do if you don't want to all attack them, personally I think the best way is if everyone attacks them with swords, but with the new gunpowder releases, it can be a bit of a hindrance more so than actually help. And another good tip you can actually do is have someone who snipes. That is always a good thing. So when the barrels come after you, you can have someone who actually shoots the barrels and you can run away and get to safety, and that could actually save a lot of time. Alright, so moving on, if you didn't know, there's actually supplies you can find on the fort itself, so you don't have to keep going back to the boat for bananas or wooden planks or cannonballs. Now moving on to actually clearing the waves if you're in a galleon crew, what you can do is have 3 people attacking the skeletons while one person stays on the crow's nest and does ship scouting, and that's just a way to make sure you're safe when doing the forts. Alright, so that's essentially everything I can think of when it comes to tips on fighting the waves. This next tip is actually more based around if there's other ships on the fort with you, and if you don't trust them or they're attacking you. There's a few things you can do. I'd mainly suggest, no matter what the situation is, getting the key, leaving the fort, changing your skin, then coming back a little bit later. That just sort of keeps yourself really safe in case you think there's someone who might be watching you and trying to get you when you get the loot. But there's a few perfect places to hide them. First, I'll start with the sloop. The one that works best for me is just near the map. There's actually a little ledge and some barrels. What I like to do is hide it just behind the barrels, and I haven't seen anyone actually find them there. Another good spot, but this is more common, is hiding it on the crow's nest. No one really checks the crow's nest when they do your loot scavenging, so that could be something to think about. On the galleon, there's actually a few more. Of course, there's the crow's nest. If that doesn't work, you can hide them on the sails, and another one is on the door inside the captain's quarters, and the final one is actually right on the bottom level. There's some little bits of boat scaffolding, I think that's what they're called anyway. There's like boat scaffolding in a barrel. Try and put them between there. Alright, so that's essentially all the tips I can think of. Now moving on to the Discord that I was talking about earlier. If you want to party up with me and you want to do all the events with me, I do them within the first couple hours upon release, and I post videos about it. So the best way to get in contact with me and to play games and hang out is to go to the Discord. That'll be right at the top of the description, so feel free to go there. Alright, so anyway, my channel essentially is based around doing how-tos and tips and tricks and whatnot. So if you want to know how to complete all the challenges within the first hour upon release inside Sea of Thieves, feel free to subscribe and hit the notification. And yeah, if you enjoyed, please leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video.